the river, I was drawn by your grace into chambers of oblivion, into the lover's place. I was stuck in
The Milk River area has a unique to Canada geographical history in being part of the original Louisiana Territory under King Louis of France, then changing flags 7 more times leading up to our current Canadian flag.
the hardest days for you. Let's throw them out the window, that's what those lovers do.
The town of Milk River emerged, like many southern Alberta settlements, at the turn of the century with the arrival of the homesteaders. I have so much admiration and respect for the early pioneers who broke the land, brought in livestock, and established businesses with no government safety net and no hospitals or healthcare in the area.
Down by the river, I was drawn by your grace into chambers of oblivion, into the lover's place. I was stuck in the...
With a strong work ethic, a ton of integrity, and a friendly, cooperative community, our ancestors truly built this town and community from scratch. I spent some time visiting with the residents and descendants of these early pioneers, and it was very rewarding and interesting.
I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown, because those dear hearts and gentle people will never ever let you down. They read the good book from Friday till Monday. That's how the weekend goes. How it goes. I've got a dream house I'll build there one day, with picket fence and rambling road. I feel so welcome each time that I return, that my happy heart keeps laughing like a clown. I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live and love in my hometown. They read the good book from Friday till Monday. That's how the weekend goes. I've got a dream house I'll build there one day, with picket fence and rambling roads. I feel so welcome each time that I return, that my happy heart keeps laughing like a clown. Like a clown. I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live and love in my hometown. In my hometown. Those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown.
Well, I'm Dale Leffingwell, and this is my old hometown. I was born in Lethbridge at the Galt Hospital, and now called the Galt Museum, and my mother, they were living on my Grandpa Smith's farm. My dad was farming it out at the Dean Smith farm. My Grandma Smith was a great one for recording and saving and making sure that pieces of history stayed around, little mementos, and I can use this as an example of a barber chair that was a lot, not as sophisticated as this one from Bud's Barber, but this here we'll have in the museum. This chair is in the museum on display from Bud's Barber Shop. Linda across the street has donated it for the use of our museum. Anyways, Grandma Smith saved this from the Titsworth Barber Shop that was in the old commercial hotel that my great-grandma Ness, Josephine Ness, built in the early 1900s. Okay, Josephine Ness come out to Homestead in 1908, out in the Sinison district, Kippenville actually, area, and she brought her 3 girls. Prudence Ness, my grandmother, Minnesota Ness, which is Minnesota Miller. Hubert Miller married her, the Miller family, and Dakota Lamb. So the 3 girls, they homesteaded out there, and Grandma Ness decided that maybe she should build a hotel. So she seen the opportunities and built a hotel and a restaurant in Milk River. And that was kind of interesting how now through my grandmother, that was one of the original builders in the town. But wait, there's more. I'm very lucky because my dad's dad, Grandpa Leffingwell, Fred Leffingwell, was asked to form a contracting company, shall we say. In other words, he got about 25 guys lined up, and he helped build a lot of the buildings around town, while his brother, Frank Leffingwell, became, actually, he started it all. Frank Leffingwell was a major land agent, and later on become an MLA for the Liberal representation in the late 20s, or late teens and early 20s in the Alberta legislature. So no matter how I try to avoid it, I cannot help but be connected to the history of this area. And that's really why we're trying to let the next generations have a piece of what we were lucky enough to be part of. I kind of think of myself and my generation as the last link of some of those, because it was my dad and my grandparents that built this area, and all the families. Craig Blackmer is filming this, and my grandmother and his grandpa many generations ago were just the best of buds back from the Dakotas, and they carried on that friendship right into our present memories of today.
I love Milk River because it is the best town, and I know everyone there. It is the best. I love Milk River because there's a beautiful river that you and your friends and family can go floating down. I love Milk River because it's a small town, supported by ranchers and farmers. Happy 100th birthday, Milk River!
I am here with Mildred Thompson, or Millie. You go by Millie quite often?
No.
You never go by Millie?
Never went by it.
Okay, well then I'll call you Mildred.
Yes, please.
Mildred Thompson was born in the area about 98 years ago. And she was in Anderson. And I'll just let you talk a little bit about that. Where
I was born out at Kippenville, and let's see what
in the farmhouse?
in the farm. On Grandma and Grandpa Anderson lived down where Harold Berg lived, late in later life, and we lived up just a quarter of a mile up from south of them, in the field. And I was born out there and raised out there, went to school at Massinison for, oh gosh, I don't know how long it was that we were there. I know we were there during the winter, and then we moved into the Milk River area, and I've been here ever since.
And so you finished off high school in Milk River?
When I went, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't go through school.
Oh.
I got to grade 10, and
Oh.
I took a beauty course.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, how
yeah.
about that? What are some of your first memories of Milk River?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like when you're a young...
when I was
when
a
you're-
little kid, I can remember this like it was yesterday. We were in town, and Mr. Lind was there, and Marie Lind, and myself and my dad was there, and I wanted a nickel, to get an ice cream cone. And Daddy wouldn't budge.
Wouldn't buy that
No.
ice cream cone?
No, he said, I can't. And he felt bad because it was depression years, and I mean depression. And he just, but I can remember that. Mr. Lynn sitting here, standing here, and Marie sitting beside, and she wanted an ice cream cone too, but she didn't get it either, so.
So what store would have that been? Would there?
Well, that would be the drugstore now.
Oh, okay. And it was like a malt shop or ice cream shop or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a restaurant. It was
Okay.
Kirby's restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And they had ice cream there, but it was, just things. And we were brought up in the depression area, I should say.
And
Everybody was in the same boat.
how many in your family? How many kids?
There was just Harold and myself at the time, and then my sister come along 8 years after me, and then my brother Daryl 21 years after.
Oh, did you have many chores? Like, did you work much on the farm?
Oh, yes, I did. When you come think of all the times I drove the tractor,
Yeah.
pulled the combine, and drove the truck.
Wow.
And I was
You're
a farm girl.
Farm girl.
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah, and enjoyed every bit of it because I didn't have to go in the house and do dishes.
Yeah. Richard, how long have you been here?
7 years now. We came in September 2009.
Okay.
And
And I can
we're
tell.
enjoying it pleasantly.
I'm pretty good with accents. I think you're from Finland.
I come from England. Little place.
And how do you like Milk River?
Oh, it's brilliant. I really like this town. It's quiet, peaceful. Everybody's friendly. Everybody waves to you. And if you need anything, you'll always get help.
Yeah.
And it works the other way as well. They need help from me, I'll be there for them.
And Richard does the campground down here now, and also he's been taking care of the Civic Center and does a lot of work for people. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And your family, did you come here before? Were you the first in your family?
No. The first one in our family was Philip. He came with his wife and kids, and they went to the school here. They arrived about 2 years before we did.
Okay.
We came over on holiday, saw the place, got to know some of the people, liked it, went back home, sold up, and a year we were back in Canada. And then the other son followed us.
Okay. And what would you say is the best thing about Milk River?
The friendliness.
Yeah.
Everybody is friendly. They'll all clan together and do something. Like we're coming up for now Canada Day, and we'll have a big parade over there again.
Yeah.
Everybody will be there for their burgers.
Hopefully it'll be calm enough I can fly over and get some pictures with my drone.
Yeah,
A little windy here, I don't know. Hopefully that my bear
that little bear
the
there.
bear hat is picking up the sound fairly good.
It should do.
When you were a guard for the Queen, did you wear one of those?
A bearskin,
bear
yes,
hat?
and it came from Canada.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
All the bearskins, we have 20 a year given to us,
Oh yeah.
to the guards, and they make a bearskin out of
Yeah.
it, and we all wear them.
Yeah.
And they are brilliant. They're nice in winter, and they're all right in summer as well. They keep you nice and cool in summer.
Place to be. The people are warm, caring, friendly, they're supportive. It's just a great place to be.
And I think it's a great place to raise kids. We've raised our 3 kids here. You don't have to worry too much about where they are, and you know that they're pretty much always safe in a small town. I think it's a great place.
Happy 100th birthday, Milk River!
The whole thing.
The people are really nice here in Milk River.
Yeah, that's good. Interview. This is Courtney Champagne, and what would you say is your favorite thing about Milk River?
Well, the river, of course. It's beautiful here, and other people are coming to admire it.
And have you ever swam in the river?
Yes, we go tubing once or twice or every 3 times a summer.
Yeah, that's fun, eh?
Mhm.
And would you say, look into the camera and wish Milk River a happy 100th birthday?
Well, happy birthday, Milk River, and
I'm here with Mabel Fleming. And could you tell us a little about yourself, when you were born and where? And
I was born 93 years ago, at 6 miles from town, and on the farm. When babies were always born on the farm. And
tell us one of your first memories of Milk River, what the town was like.
oh, I remember coming in here in the summertime to go swimming, because everybody swam in the river.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody thought anything of anybody getting hurt or anything, and I don't think anybody ever did, as far as I know.
No need for lifeguards.
No, oh heavens, no.
'Cause your family was there, right?
Well, probably older kids.
Yeah.
And they had a building there, and one side was for the boys and one side was for the girls.
Oh, yeah.
And of course there were peak holes, that we were busy plugging up, and then boys were busy unplugging. But anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And
As a young girl, did you have any chores?
oh yeah, I had the chickens with my department. I had to feed the chickens.
And how old would you then?
Oh, 10,
Okay.
10 to 12 or
Yeah.
whatever.
For 100
Happy 100th birthday to Milk River, and a wonderful time.
My name is William Paul Madge. All our family they called us by our second name. Born right here in Milk River. Didn't go to a hospital or anything. But anyway, I was born in 1926, 17th of June, which is next week.
Oh, happy birthday.
90 years old next week. And went to school in Milk River and finished high school and then cattle. And in 1923, Dad decided he'd go into business in Milk River and started in the IH and Ford dealership then. 1923. Well, then the day I got out of school, I went down. We didn't have graduations or anything in those years. We just wrote the last exam and went home, and a month or so later you got your results and whether you passed or not. And so I get down to the garage and about 10 o'clock or so, or 11 in the morning, and Dad says, well, what are you going to do? He says, if you want to buy the garage, I'll sell you the garage, the business, or if you want to go away and go to school and be a doctor, I'll send you to school, or if you want to buy a farm, I'll buy a farm for you. And Frank was on the farm then. And he said, make up your mind. I went over to the Chinaman's and had a bottle of pop and came back to the garage. I said, well, how much do you want for the garage? He told me, and the next day I was in business. Biggest business in town. I owned it the next day. 18 years old.
Okay, I'm Greg Fleming. I've grew up and lived in Milk River my whole life. Best part about Milk River is it's a small town. You know everybody. Do what you want. I'm third generation here on the farm in Milk River, and my grandparents were the homesteaders on the farm.
Went to school and stuff?
Okay. I grew up in Milk River. I'm Alan O'Hara. And I grew up on a farm east of Milk River, actually. People, it's friendly, it's safe. My kids grew up here.
And what do you do now?
I own the tire shop here in Milk River.
How long?
25 years.
No.
So what did you do for fun when you were young?
We had lots of fun. Duck on the rock, for one hour.
What's that?
Duck on the rock.
And what was that?
Well, here was a big rock,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a stone on that, and then we had to throw and break that stone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the Bear kids and us, we were just not quite a half a mile
Yes.
apart there. So we were always together, and that was, well, those days you didn't have bicycles and stuff. And
You made your own fun.
oh, Bear kids and us, we had more fun. We'd walk to the river and throw stones in it, and then we'd walk home.
Yeah.
You know, and we made our own entertainment.
Right.
And then there for a long time, Arvid, what was his last name? He played the violin. And we'd go to and Lena Lyle played the piano, and we'd go down to the Sleepy Hollow School for dances.
Oh, yeah.
During the Depression year.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother'd take lunch, and the other ladies would take lunch. And we were busy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and really enjoyed it. So.
First memories of Milk River is probably going to the swimming pool and riding my bike to town. We'd always ride our bike about 2.5 miles to town in the summer to go spend the day at the pool.
When I was a kid, I played baseball. When I grew up, I crop checked a lot and played baseball and basketball.
What kind of car did you have?
I had a 63 Chevy Super Sport convertible.
But I was always around this wonderful town.
What were some of the fun things you did?
Oh, just hanging out, fixing up old vehicles, cars and trucks, going out. In those days, you had a lot of fun just doing things, like building stuff, fixing up old vehicles, you name it. We even got fun when it was time to put the sewer lines in, and my uncle from Calgary come down and had us help dig the ditches for the water lines and sewer lines going into Grandpa Smith's house. Something you don't do nowadays.
Exactly, yeah. What did you do for fun when you were young?
Oh, we used to play hockey a lot, and we used to play hockey in Tabor, and we went to Great Falls. We'd play against the U.S. Army in Great Falls when we were kids.
Really?
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun playing hockey.
Right there.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Kaylee Ostenberg, and this is Brianne Russell and Leah Oswald, my best friends. We like to swim in the river, and it's easy to get around. Like, it's so small that you can just see your friends all the time.
And other than swimming?
Going to Lucky's for Slurpee.
Yeah.
I like to shoot gophers outside of Milk River.
Yeah, we did. We used to ride to town in the summer months on moonlight nights, tie our horses up in the corrals. They had corrals there by the elevators for people that shipped stock to Lethbridge. And we'd tie our horses in there, and then we'd walk to the movie theater, we're the same place, and watch a movie, and then we would ride home in the moonlight night. Was that ever an experience?
Yeah, so...
I can say over the last 50 years, I've seen a lot of changes in town. There's fewer younger people in town, not as many activities going on. In the old days, there used to be go out to 117 to the grape dance. You'd go out to Massinison and play baseball, which we don't do anymore. Used to go down to Sweetgrass on weekends, but we haven't done that for 20 some odd years. And I've really noticed that the small family farms have now started to disappear. I'm going to say since I started working here 30 some years ago, we probably lost 3/4 of the farmers that we've had in the local area.
I'm Leanna Ostenberg. I was born in Lethbridge, but I've lived in Milk River my whole life. I work at the family business right now because I have to. I like the fact that all my family's pretty much here, and we can get together whenever we want because it's easy enough to walk across town, and then we can all just hang out. I like to go down to the pool a lot or take my dog for walks down to the river and just.
Happy birthday, Milk River!
How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Yeah?
Hanging in there.
How old are you today?
I am 90 something.
99. So Peter is turning 100 years old in 20. You're turning 100 years old this year, right? 100 years old in 2016.
Next time round.
Yeah. Anyways, can you tell us about one of your memories from childhood? A young boy, 10 years old.
I'd get up and milk the cow.
Oh yeah. And when did you move to Milk River?
When did I come? Oh, after the war, I think.
Be 1947 or 46? Was it 1946 or 47?
46.
46.
And Peter?
I finally decided I'm going to go down and see Bob Hummel. Bob Hummel and I were schoolmates in the old School of Agriculture. I stayed with Bob and we worked for about 12 years together. Well, Milk River was a friendly town. And
He delivered milk in town for Bob Hummel when he worked for Bob, yeah. They had a dairy out there. We built a house in town in 60.
Hey?
We got married in 52. In 60, we built our house in town.
Oh, okay.
In 61, it blew up.
Okay, yeah.
When you were young.
I grew up on the farm. I was born by a midwife in month 17. Goes to the top hills there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And everything was horse and buggy those days. But we had to work hard to make ends meet and everything. When I come to town for grade 9, I rode on a horse. I had a spirited horse and I liked it. And I got the highest marks in the class. But it's because I put effort into it, and the other kids just went to school for fun. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
I made a big effort to get to school.
So you rode a horse every day?
Yeah.
From 117?
Yeah.
How long would that take?
That's 12 miles I went cross country. I remember I put down 7 fences and crossed the river. In the winter I came around on the road, which was longer. Right to the river. Well, as I turned around after I shut the gate, here comes a big mountain lion about 15 feet from me. His back tail was switching. I froze, I closed my eyes, and I thought, well, now this is the end of me. All I remembered was the Lord's Prayer, that one line, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I did not open my eyes for 15 minutes. And the horse stood still too, it got scared too. And that lion looked at us, and when I opened my eyes after about 15 minutes, it was jumping over the bulrushes away from me. And then I never rode by the river anymore after that. I was afraid to. I had to ride on the roads. Yeah. Roscoe Hewlett used to have a lot of sheep there. And one night it killed 22 sheep. He had a lot of horses. He had at least 70 horses at one time. And then horses weren't worth anything, so tractors came in.
Oh.
And he had to sell his horses at a cheap price to the canneries.
Oh, that must have been sad, eh?
Because everybody was using tractors. They're more efficient and stronger and reliable. Biggest change that came to Milk River. Paved streets and a hospital. That's where the biggest changes. Okay. The schools were here. One was here.
Yeah.
And then they built another one. And they bus all the children in. But the paved streets and the hospital are nice.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a lot of changes. But one of the big changes was when when they had somebody to drive school bus.
Oh, yeah.
And that was when my dad got the first old car, Model A.
The biggest change would be the hospital, I believe, when it came in the 60s. I think that was the biggest change. The biggest thing for Milk River was the hospital, I believe.
I suppose I could say really the biggest thing is when I put natural gas in. Amy Crowder and I put natural gas in the Milk River. We bought gas in Montana, and we picked the gas up at the border and built a gas line from the border to Milk River and ran the system for many years. So,
I can say the positive changes I've seen over the years is we now have paved streets instead of gravel roads. We now have a swimming pool instead of having to go to the river, and the convenience of being able to go almost anywhere with the double highway. You're able to go to Lethbridge and back quite easily instead of having to go just once a week. So traveling is a lot easier nowadays. So.
What do you think was the most beneficial change to come to Milk River in your lifetime?
Yeah. Certainly the hospital was a great advantage and improvement and service for us, and we appreciate even the health facility that we presently have. But when the hospital was active, it was amazing, and then our Prairie Rose Lodge, which is a nice facility and always has been for seniors, and both of those, I think, have been a big
positive change.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, there's been two major positive changes in Milk River, and that was the making of the double highway, which helped make travel a lot easier and safer around town. And then we just added on some rooms to the Prairie Rose Lodge here not very long ago at all, so that was good.
So some of the changes that came to Milk River that I can remember from my childhood and that I'm happy we had was when I was probably school age, 6, 7 years old. We would swim in the river in the summertime. It would get pretty hot, and so we'd go swimming in the river, and I have fond memories of that. But even greater than that was when they decided to bring a swimming pool to Milk River. So I remember, I don't know what year it was, but I remember they raised money by doing a walk-a-thon where people were walking, I think it was from Coots to Milk River, and raised money for the community swimming pool, which that seems to be an ongoing money pit. But I know that when I was young, and I know the young kids now, they sure appreciate to have that pool.
Nice. What's your favorite part about Milk River?
The swimming pool. But I'm Happy 100th birthday, Milk River. Hi, Milk River.
Okay, my name is Pat Christensen. I live in long-term care in Milk River. I lived here for 6 years. The nurses are great, the food is good, and the place is really clean, and I want to live here forever.
Okay, my name is Ralph Ostenberg. We moved to Milk River in the fall of 1960 from Foremost. Moved into town. I worked for the plumbing shop in Milk River, Cecil Nelson. For a little bit, I helped build the post office. Then I worked for the Massey dealer, a couple of fellows from Lethbridge. Worked in the parts. And they, I guess might say they went broke. So met the Massey district sales manager. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I don't know, I'm just debating what I want to do." And he said, "Well, we're trying to get this gentleman by the name of Ted Rutt in Renton to open up a place in Milk River." He said, "Why don't you go and see him?" Got in a car, drove to Renton, met the gentleman, visited with him till about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we decided to go in business together. And consequently, that was the start of our business career, and 55 years later, here we are, still at it. A lot of water. That went on till 1975 when we bought what was then known as the Quinn ball field from the town of Milk River and built this building and moved in the spring of 1976 and still occupy the same building today.
Oh, my name was Barbara Bloost, and my father was John August Bloost, whom they called Gus, and Mom's name was Elizabeth Lodermeyer. There was 9 of us in the family. I was the second in the family, and you.
I was the 4th.
Bernard, introduce yourself.
Bernard.
Bernard Blues. What would you do for fun as a kid?
I was asked that one time, and I said, well, we had a big family, so we learned how to work, and that was to get out of the kitchen was our entertainment.
Okay, a typical morning. So when you wake up, what would you do? Say your prayers?
No, first of all, we had to make the fire.
Okay.
It was pretty cold. There was no heat upstairs where we had our bedrooms, and so Mom would make breakfast, and then on the way to school, the boys had to go out, the cows had to be milked, the separating the milk done, and the separator washed before we could get on our way to go to school, and so then for the first while, I can't hardly remember how we went. I think just we had a stone boat with a bench on it, and my sister and I sat on that with our neighbors' kids, and we come to school with one horse.
How many kids on the boat, on the stone boat?
4 of us. Elmer and Beulah Penrose and Sophie and I.
Can you explain what a stone boat is?
It was just a wooden platform that they had hooked up to the horse.
There's no wheels.
Yeah,
a wagon with no
wheels.
wheels.
No, it didn't have any wheels. Yeah. And then they put an old trunk on top of it, and that's what we sat on. And we went almost to about 2 3/4 miles to school. So that was rather cold in the wintertime.
When you got to it, you had to do chores, hauling coal and water.
Oh yes. And then my brothers, Bernard and Raymond, used to have to go up to, how far was the coal mine from home? 4 miles? 3 miles?
About 6.
6 miles.
Yeah.
6
that
miles.
Up on top of the hill where it is by...
Mueller's.
Okay, yeah.
They had to go there for coal and load it themselves. Yeah. They were 13 and 14 years old. And then have to come home and unload it in the coal bin. And for water, they had a big wooden water tank with a team of horses, and they would have to go down to the river with buckets and fill this water tank from the river. That was our drinking water.
Yeah.
But we had a windmill, which it had 160 feet, a drilled well, 160 feet down.
You didn't drink that water?
No, that was soda water. We couldn't drink it, but it was very good for washing. It was very soft water.
So in
the schools, oh yes, we didn't have bathrooms, indoor bathrooms.
No, yeah.
No, and we had a cistern. We hauled a bucket of water in. Everybody drank out of the same ladle, and everybody washed in the same bowl.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, we survived.
Did you have boys and girls outhouses? Or
yes. No.
I don't know.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the only fun we had in the summer was softball, and they eventually got football.
Yeah.
I was a goalie one time. When we went to the movies, Thursday was always the day that Mom went into town to do her grocery shopping, and that was the night of the movie, and we had to share with our neighbors. Some of us kids could go one time, and then they would go, and then we'd go the next time. So we couldn't get to go every Thursday, just when Mom went in for groceries.
But Bernard never got to go to the movies?
Oh, sure you did.
I never went from home, no. Not until...
When you were little?
No.
You better not record this.
You had to steal milk the cow, pluck the chickens.
That's right.
And then, but you also went to movies in Sweetgrass.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we used to have, we'd get a dish of some kind every time we went in. And it was usually that green glass or blue glass, which is quite expensive now. But we thought it was just cheap glass. So you get dishes, saucers and cups and things like that. The day had of the week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just on Thursday. And I think the pop was 5 cents, and the hamburger or a hot dog was 5 cents, and I think the theater ticket was 10 cents when we were going to school there. Greg showed me some of these old ancient things that I used to hate. This is what they call the flat iron, and there was 3 different sizes. This looks like the medium size, and then there's a larger one and that's what we used for ironing our clothes. And they had to be heated on the coal stove. You had to have a coal stove raging hot in the summer if you wanted to iron your clothes. And this one here is a butter maker. When you made your butter, you put it in here. To form it, you put paper in here. Or no, you didn't put the paper in, did you? I don't think. You just put the butter in here and formed it, and then pushed it out with this handle onto your paper. And that's how you used to wrap your butter. This just a real old butter shaper.
So would you put it in the fridge or something? Or
fridge? We had in the cool part of the cellar. we didn't have any cooler. And this one is the butter ladle that they used to have to wash the butter after you made the butter from the sour cream, and they had to put it in a big pan and they washed it, and then they would work this butter to work all the water out of it and work the salt into it. Oh. And a little bit of color, and then that's when you put the butter into here and pushed it out and wrapped it. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember getting when the men used to get ice from the river? Mm-hmm.
They had ice saws, and they'd go down to the river. We used to have a lot of ice in the river at that time, and we had a little coal shed, and half of it was you walked down into a cellar type of thing, and they put straw in there and cut the ice all up in big chunks. Mm-hmm. And they'd have to do it on a cold day so it didn't melt. And so they'd haul these big chunks of ice in there and lay them on the straw and then cover them with more straw. And that would usually last until the middle of August.
Oh yeah. And then what? Then you wouldn't have anything cold?
No. When we had ice cream, Mom always had it, wrote it up in her diary, because that was something special.
Yeah.
If you could have ice cream on the farm in the summertime.
Oh wow. Yeah. What's your first memory of Milk River? How old were you?
Was the muddy streets.
Muddy?
Muddy streets.
Oh, muddy streets.
Yes. And they had boardwalks at the time. I remember that, some of them.
Years ago?
Oh yes. Very few stores, hotel, and the red and white store. Mom dealt at that's the grocery store.
Yes.
But we had our post office out on the farm. We didn't have to come to town to get our mail.
Happy birthday, Milk River!
Yes, my name is Brendan Hardy, and we're formerly from Milk River, and we've now moved to Red Cliff, Alberta, and we got involved with Milk River 100th anniversary celebration last year, and it's been kind of an exciting year, buying the binder at an auction sale at Raymond, and then bringing it out here to the River Road. Donated some bundle land that we could binder up the winter wheat bundles, and we did that today and had lots of help. Stukin, lots of the neighbors from Milk River and some from the Hutterite Colony, River Road, showed up to help. And lots of neighbors came out to see things go, and everything's exciting. We're getting ready for the 30th of July. And there'll be a threshing demonstration between noon and 3:30 at Milk River.
And you used to run a binder similar to this?
Yes,
is that right?
Did. Craig, we had one on our farm, and in 1967, I believe I was in grade 10, and that was the last year we ran it. It's a John Deere power binder. We're not sure of the vintage. It's sometime maybe the late 40s, early 50s. It's one of the last models John Deere built. It's a power takeoff driven 8-foot binder. And I did run one before, but it took a little bit of learning to get to do it again.
So the earlier binders would have been mostly ground driven?
Yes, they were. They were a ground drive model, and the later ones here with John Deere are power takeoff. Exciting year.
Okay. And so you'll be coming and picking these stooks up?
Yes, we will, Craig. We're planning on just 4 or 5 days before the show. We'll let them dry out for about 4 days, and then hopefully we can take them in there and get set up in Kinsman Park to do our demonstration.
Okay. And then normally they would pull a wagon with horses, and
Yes.
and would they pick up the stooks the day they're thrashing, or would they?
They usually load them or the night before. They would have several hay racks, like they had a crew of, I don't know, several men, and they brought the steam engines in, and there would be probably 20 or so men working. And the place they thrashed, they fed them and kept them there. And then they'd move on from farm to farm. You were kind of on a list, and when your turn came up, then it was your turn to feed everybody and do your thing. And they sometimes traveled with more than one thrash machine. So.
And I always wondered what they do with the straw piles.
A lot of them, they left them, and I can remember some of the piles from years ago that were there, and the cattle foraged in them, and the horses. Years ago, they'd keep them fenced to keep the cattle and stuff out, and then during the winter, they'd burrow right into them a lot of times.
Okay.
There was no strings in them days, they just kind of blew it on.
Okay, I'm Clark Selk, and I've lived in Milk River for since 1973 continuously. Previous to that, in my youth, I was from Coots for the most part of my youth, and went to school in Coots for 9 years and in Milk River for 4 years, and then I left in 1967 and then come back in 73. Well, I used to, I spent quite a lot of time working on my car, or else going carousing with Fred Mellifont or Jerry Blackmer, and or working on the farm, or working for other farmers to earn a little spending money. So didn't do a whole lot. I wasn't ever too good at sports, so I didn't do that much. I did some fishing and that sort of thing. I didn't mind that, and I liked nature, so I was always around down on Red Creek or on Sexton Creek, walking down there because I grew up on those two creeks. So I learned a lot from that. So I think that's about all. It was sure a nice place to raise my children. I never locked my house door in all the years that they went to school, never had to worry about it, so that was good, and it's nice to know everybody. I like that, and I still like that, and I'm still quite at home here, and I'm not prepared to move to Calgary to be closer to my daughter, and that's for sure.
Happy 100 years, Milk River!
Okay. So Audrey Blackmer, my mom, and she was a Lodemeyer, grew up in Mussinison. And can you tell me a little bit about the telephones? And you had telephones, right?
We had telephones, and we were on a party line, and there was up to 10 to 12 people on our line. And so we had to wait till the line was free before we could use it. There was a lot of rubbering in, is the phrase that they use. When you pick up the phone, somebody else was talking. So, and the right thing to do would be to hang up quickly, but most people didn't. They listened in on everybody else's conversation.
Now, I remember party line when I was young, we only had 2 other people on our line. How many people would have been on your line?
Probably 10 to 12 when I was young, yeah.
And when the kids were talking, would the parents get on and tell kids from another family to get off the phone?
I don't remember that. That's
really?
Possible. Yeah, no, I don't remember that. I
remember
it, but I don't think
Paul Wollersheim was it, Craig, get off the phone, I need to use it.
No, I don't think anybody did that, because they kind of wanted to listen to the conversation that was going on. But I don't think kids were on the phone nearly as much then. As a teenager, I was not on the phone that much.
And how did you dial?
We had a code. I remember our code was a long and a short. So you'd ring. It was a ringer. You'd ring it a long time. Yeah, a crank, and you'd ring it a long and then a short.
Okay, so when your phone...
If somebody was phoning me, they would ring a long and a short. Okay. Everybody on the line would hear it.
But what about if you wanted to phone someone in Milk River?
I don't think I ever did.
Then you'd have to phone the operator,
I think so.
Because that'd be a lot of different codes.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we would have phoned the operator then.
Okay. That's interesting. You didn't have indoor plumbing. Most of the farms didn't have indoor plumbing when you were growing up, right?
No, I'm not sure that any did. I think some of them got it before we did, but no indoor plumbing, no.
So an outhouse?
We had, yes.
How far was the outhouse from your
It was
house?
down the hill. It was a long ways in the wintertime, in the middle of the night especially.
So when it was 30 below, what did you do?
We did have chamber pots in our bedrooms.
That's what they're called? Chamber pots?
Well, that's a nice word for it.
Yeah.
And we used them, yeah. Dumped them the next
Did
day.
you have, like, what about showers and baths?
We had a galvanized square tub, and that's what we bathed in.
How big?
Once a week. Oh, I'm saying 3.5 by 3.5,
Oh.
maybe 4 by 4. That would be big.
So half of a
And
bathtub.
yeah, and we would warm up water on the stove and fill up the tub, and once a week we had a bath, whether we needed it or not.
And you'd have to bucket all the water out?
Yeah.
Throw
We
it
would
out.
change the water.
Yeah.
And keep heating it up. Yeah. And we would, the kitchen floor, we'd have it sitting on the kitchen floor, and all the doors would be closed so we had privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody could walk in when we were having our baths.
How many in your family? There's
5 of
five
us.
kids.
5, yeah. And washing clothes was kind of the same. We'd heat up the water on the stove. We did have a wringer washer, and the clothes would wash and then pass through one wringer and into a rinse water tub, another galvanized tub, and then another rinse
Was
water.
it electric?
No,
Oh.
it was gas, I think.
Oh.
I think it was gas.
The gas-powered
I think.
2-stroke.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
50
kind of
cc.
manual.
It was probably 4-stroke.
Yeah.
No, most of your shopping was in Milk River.
Yeah, all of our grocery shopping and other shopping was pretty much done through the catalog. Simpsons, Sears, and Simpsons, I guess it was
Eaton's.
called, and Eaton's, yes. And we came to Milk River once. My dad would come once a week for groceries. The main stores were Mr. Morris and Archie Willock's, and Red and White was kind of a general store.
And your mom wouldn't, grandma wouldn't come?
She stayed home with it, and we didn't come either when we were small. My mom stayed home most of the time. And once we had a show theater, sometimes we'd come in and watch the matinee.
Yeah. Flying Goose? What was the train called?
Oh, that we had a little one-car passenger train that would go from Milk River to Lethbridge to Milk River. I think probably all the way down to Coots and back. And it was called the Galloping Goose.
And how many, one trip a day, or do you remember?
I think probably, I don't remember, but I think that would have been max. Yeah.
How fast would it go? How long would it take to get to Lethbridge?
I don't know. I was a child. I have no idea how long it took. Seemed to me it was a long time, but
Yeah.
it probably moved along pretty fast.
Galloping Goose.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay. My name is Laura Michaelis, and I'm married to Jared Doberkane, and together we own the Sandstone Motel and the gas station, and we run the golf course. What I like about Milk River is that it is a safe community to raise our children in, and everybody knows everybody, and it's a great place to grow up and be a part of. When I was a kid, for fun, my brothers and sisters and I would go to the swimming pool. We would play in the backyard. We went to the ball diamonds. We went downtown for ice cream. We did anything there was to do for a kid in the community.
Great.
Milk River, I wish you the best for the future and an happy Centennial parade. And may everything go well for us all.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Well, it's really nice having you here.
you.
And one more thing. What could you recommend to the young generation to say that, the kids are just growing up, they're in elementary school right now. What could you tell them? Any advice or anything?
Yeah. Always believe that you're young, and you will always be young.
Yeah?
Yeah. And live life to the full.
Good. Good advice. All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, I'm Isabel McCoy, and I've been raised around the area And we moved into town. Been living here since 1981. And Milk River is a very nice little town, very friendly, and good people live here.
Thanks.
And happy 100th birthday, Milk River.
Great.
I'm Emma Harsley. I used to be Emma Bassick, and I've been away from Milk River for 59 years now. But this is still home. And Mother and Dad were here, and Isabel is my sister, and it's nice to come back to know everybody, and it's a nice little place to live. It was wonderful when we were teenagers. We used to have a good time here. And happy 100th birthday, Milk River.
Okay, I'm Ethan McCoy and I'm 19 years old. I just graduated from Earl Rivers High School in Milk River this year. The people of Milk River are very friendly around town, and it has been great growing up in this community. I'd like to wish Milk River a happy 100th birthday.
Happy Centennial, Milk River.
Great. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. The oldest house in town is the one that Pam and, what was his name, Dale?
Harry Smith.
Pam and Harry Smith lived in. And it's just behind the town hall. It was built in 1908. Okay. And a couple of older ones as well. The Quinn House, I don't know who lives there now, was built in 1910. It's at the end of that block, that same block. Okay. And the Ellerts, when they built their store, then Frank Ellert also built a house that's right next to the old A&M grocery store. It was built in 1910. Well, grew up here, went to school here. My great-grandparents on my mom's side came in 1902, settled along Coffin Bridge. That was their last name, so they called it Coffin Crossing. And my dad's family came up in 1917, and from Nebraska. They were going to get rich quick and go back, and they didn't get rich and they didn't go back. And they bought a house from the Teton Catalog Company, and it was shipped from somewhere down east to the train station here. Really? They went into the train station, picked it up, and both Grandma and Grandpa's siblings had stayed on for that winter to help build the house. They dug a well and everything, and the house is still standing out at the farm. It was lived in until about 5 years ago. Well, when I was young, my parents each had siblings who lived here, got together often, so it was all about family. And then when we got married, it's the same. I have 5 siblings who live here, 3 in Lethbridge, 1 in North Dakota. So we get together as often as we can, kind of keep the heritage going. And walk down the street, everybody says hello. And it feels safe. It's just a nice place to live. Centennial. Happy Centennial.
I am Susan McCoy, and I am an import to Milk River. I moved to Milk River about 36 years ago. We've been married for 35 years, and I love the people in Milk River, and I feel blessed and privileged to have lived here. It's great climate, great people, and just can't say enough great things about it. And happy birthday, happy 100th birthday, Milk River. We are so blessed to have a great school. We have great staff in our school, and we have a wonderful clinic and hospital and swimming pool, library. We're just so blessed with everything that we really need. Our bank, a grocery store, and great people. And I think community spirit is something that we value and we work towards, and we support one another. And yeah, I am very thankful.
I'm Dr. Lisa Luthi-Bogle, and I came to Milk River in 1976, and I've enjoyed over 40 years of practice here in Milk River. At times I was a solo doctor, other times I was part of a larger contingent, 2 or 3 doctors. I've seen the hospital go from a 30-bed hospital which offered all services including acute care, surgery, deliveries, to our current status where we have a 24-hour emergency, 21 long-term care beds, and 3 community support beds. But under one roof we have many of the necessary items that keep our citizens healthy. Best benefits of living in Milk River are the people. They are awesome. They are what brought me here. A classmate of mine was here at the time. What has kept me here is my husband and the many friends and family members that are here. My parents came. My mother was in long-term care. My father was here for a number of years and eventually ended up in the good care at the Prairie Rose Lodge. What is wonderful here in Milk River is that you get to do many things over the course of the day without spending a lot of time traveling from point A to point B. We have a swimming pool, golf course, multiple restaurants, library, seniors society, Heritage Hall, banks. We had 2 banks, now we're down to 1. Post office, drugstore, and most of all, what I love about Milk River are the people.
Great, thank you.
Happy birthday, Matthew Weber!
Thank you. Well, maybe I should introduce myself. I'm Craig Blackmer, 5th generation Blackmer farmer in Alberta. My great-great-grandfather moved up here with my great-grandfather. It was John Riley and John Russell. Everyone called him Russell. They moved up here in '09, I believe. And the farm that I am living in right now is the original Stelton farm. That's my grandmother's dad, Len Stelton. And I live in the original house, I believe, that my grandmother was born in. My aunt, my dad, I thought was born in that house as well. My grandmother and my grandfather were baptized in that house. They used to hold church services there. One thing that I found in common with just about everybody I talked to was the importance of the river, right? From the settlers who relied on the river for ice to keep their food cold, and right up to the young 5-year-olds that still enjoy rafting down the river. And right now, as I'm talking behind the camera, there's a group of kids jumping off the bank into the river. Don't know if they're locals or if they're tourists, but they're pretty young and enjoying the river right now. So for the last 100 years or more, the river has been very important to Milk River and the residents. Another thing talking to everybody was how much the community helped each other in the past, how much they get together when there's a tragedy or even just to celebrate a wedding. It's not uncommon to have 400 people at a dance, and everybody is family. Most of the people, the newcomers, seem to fit in really well, and it's really appreciative when you're in trouble and your neighbor can help you out. Fun. Anyways, I was lucky to have my grandparents retire in Milk River, so I spent a lot of time, even though my address is Coots, about 20 miles from Milk River, but still considered part of the community. I went to high school in Milk River. Me and my wife Julie were married in Milk River. I was born in Milk River. My grandparents and parents retired in Milk River, and it's pretty much my hometown now, as well as Coots. Oh, I'm lucky I get to have 2 hometowns, I guess. So, well, I better cut her short. I don't know if you can hear the kids playing, but they're enjoying the river. I don't think I should film them. Yes. What were you just doing? You were just swimming. You guys were the ones swimming in the river while I was interviewing myself. I didn't want to take pictures because I didn't know if I had permission. Do I have permission to put you guys on the video?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This whole concept of having a museum here for the 100th anniversary started off as just a 3-day venue. And we've had so many people interested in it. And doing the research, we're not aware of the importance of this area. We're at a crossroads. The Milk River tied into the Mississippi River system, the Louisiana Purchase, the Americans coming up with their cattle, and the Milk River being sort of a fence, shall we say, as long as the river wasn't too low. So there was a need to keep track of not only the earlier whiskey traders and smugglers, but there was also the cattle rustling and all the other things. So in 1887 they established a Northwest Mounted Police Milk River Ridge outpost that was an extremely significant location because it was in view of the Fort Benton Whoop-Up Trail, and there's the rich farming, development of the homesteads, the ranching that goes on in this area. And we got some very significant ranches and activities that we gotta recognize this, and a museum would do that. It would be a place to educate the young people. Everybody talks about inclusion nowadays. Well, this is the opportunity to bring what's left of the old people, I call them the last link, and the new generations, because some of us still remember what our grandfathers who homesteaded here told us about life in the Milk River District. I wish the Milk River area a special happy 100-year centennial. History goes back before that, but the town come along, we're celebrating our 100th anniversary, and it saddens me that we've lost so much of our history. Do you know that just in behind this museum site, which was built in 1913, is one of the oldest houses in town that belonged to my Uncle Harry Smith. And there are still...
It's still there?
Still there. It's still there. Across the street is a cement building that the Tomfer boys poured, and it's still there. My grandfather was involved in helping build some of these buildings in this town. So I'm kind of maybe being a little selfish by wanting us to remember this area.
See, listen to your parents more than you do, because they're smarter than you think they are. They really are. But of course, kids think that they know everything. We always did. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to your parents, they'll lead you in the right path, and you will do better in the long run.
That's great.
There are places I remember all my life.